All right. Awesome. So excited to have you here. Thank you so much, Drew Manning, for joining me.
Thanks, Dr. Melissa. It's a pleasure to be on. I appreciate you having me on.
Such an honor. Okay, so I'm sure all of our followers know who you are, but just in case people need a recap, Drew Manning really gained his huge following. He is a New York Times bestseller. The book's right behind you. Thank you for showing that. It's an incredible book. We have your book. A fitness coach, keto expert, and he did a personal experiment in 2011 and went from being fit, which you've been your entire life, to gaining weight in order to better understand people that you're working with and training, and then lost the weight and got fit again. So it was Fit to Fat to Fit. He's been featured on many TV shows, Dr. Oz, Good Morning America, The View, and it was really neat what you did. And then now what's really cool, and I know you're going to talk to, we're going to talk about this on the podcast, but you're doing it again just before your 40th birthday, and you're doing it in a bit of a different way. And one of the things that Drew's doing that's really cool, that is the reason I wanted to bring him on here, is he's experimenting with all the typical American diets and doing them the wrong way. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first, Drew, let me know how it's going. Where are you in your journey so far?
Yeah, so I'm about 6 weeks into my second Fit to Fat to Fit journey, which is called Fit to Fat to 40, by the way, which means I'm turning 40 this year. I did it back in 2011 as a 31-year-old. So I was younger, my metabolism was a little bit different, my hormones were a little bit different, and now I'm doing it again as a 40-year-old, and so that's why it's called Fit to Fat to 40.
Love it. So how is it different this time so far?
Man, it's so interesting. I kind of compared it to a pregnant woman where they forget how hard it is to have a baby. And I'm like, man, I totally forgot how hard this was because now it's starting to hit me. The first 2 weeks are like fun. You don't really feel awful yet. You feel a little bit lethargic, but now it's like day in and day out, like the same thing. It's so draining. But a little bit of the formatting that's different. Last time, I did it for 6 months and gaining weight for 6 months and losing weight for 6 months. This time I did it 4 months of gaining, 4 months of losing. And the reason I did that was because on my TV show that I had on A&E called Fit to Fat to Fit, we did 4 months and 4 months, which made more sense. It kept the audience engaged better because it wasn't as long of a period of time to follow, but also enough time to show a difference of transforming my body and my mind. So I'm way ahead of pace, by the way. I gained 30 pounds the first month. I think back in 2011, I gained 21 pounds the first month. So I'm way ahead of pace still, but I still have a long ways to go, a little less than 3 months now, but it's really challenging mentally and physically, emotionally, in so many different ways, which I'm sure we'll get into. But, the only thing the major thing that's different is this time around I'm doing the diet experiments that you mentioned, keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, kind of showing people how not to do these diets, because we see it in the space all the time where people are like, oh, I'm keto or I'm vegan, and they think they're automatically going to lose weight. And they kind of go about it in the most convenient way possible, which, it usually includes lots of treats, like keto treats, processed foods and low quality, dairy and meat and things like that, that some people think, oh, well, I'm keto, so I'm just going to eat butter, bacon, and cheese all day long. And they magically expect to lose weight. So I'm kind of putting those things to the test this time around. So those are the main differences.
Love it. Okay, so let's go through. Let's just kind of dive right in. Let's talk about Drew on a normal day, not going through this experiment. What's your life like? How do you eat? How do you perform? How do you feel? All those things. Yeah.
So I usually wake up in the morning. The only calories I have come from my coffee with some MCT oil powder or maybe a scoop of collagen protein, like 10 grams or so. And then I'll have some exogenous ketones, and then I'll go hit the gym. And some salt. I'll take some salt before I work out, and I'll go to the gym for like 45 minutes or an hour. That could include anything from high intensity interval training type cardio to slow, heavy lifting to CrossFit, and then I don't eat until lunchtime. And lunchtime I have my first meal, which is very high protein and a good amount of fat, very low in carbohydrates. So usually eggs, sausage, and tons of greens, and maybe an avocado. And then that fills me up until dinner time. And then dinner time, I usually eat a similar meal, maybe around 1,000 to 1,500 calories worth of food at a time. So that requires a lot of meat and, fattier cuts of meat usually, not a ton of dairy, but sometimes I'll throw in some cheese. And then, I eat around 3,000 calories a day, and usually over the course of 2 main meals. And then I fast throughout the day for the rest of the time. And that's kind of like my default mode. Every once in a while I'll have a cheat meal. Every once in a while I'll dip out of ketosis because I enjoy pancakes from time to time, or pizza or fruit or ice cream with my daughters. I'm not super strict. I do more of a cyclical approach. So that's kind of a day in the life of how I used to be before I started.
And how about your workouts? What do you do for exercise?
Back then, usually some type of either CrossFit, slow, heavy lifting, or, some type of high intensity cardio. But also I live here in Utah, so I usually go hiking or biking, at least once or twice a week.
Okay. So pretty high energy, eat pretty clean, push the limit pretty hard with your workouts. How about normal Drew, like mental status?
Oh man. So I usually get up at 5:30 in the morning. I have like a morning routine where I journal and meditate. And then, I try and be as present as I can throughout the day with my daughters, and no matter what I'm doing. But and it's so interesting because when you're healthy all the time, you take it for granted. You really do. And you don't realize what you have until you lose it. And so I'm so used to having energy throughout the day. Like I'll have coffee in the morning, but I don't need caffeine or stimulus for the rest of the day because I don't have these dips in energy like I normally would get, like I'm getting now on this Fit to Fat to 40 journey. So I'm good until nighttime. And then nighttime I go to bed like at 9:30, 10, to be honest with you. I'm old, obviously. So I'm going to bed early, waking up early. And so
I go to bed earlier than you if it makes you feel better.
Oh, okay. Well, good. I would if I could, but my girls are like, we want to stay up till 9. I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. So anyways, that's kind of like how I am. I'm usually, good to go throughout the day. If I need to skip lunch, sometimes I can where I'm super busy. And that's the benefit of being in ketosis, is you're not a slave to food all the time where you have to eat constantly. There's been times on my journey doing this again where my blood sugar dropped to the low 50s or 40 sometimes, and I'm like shaking and I'm sweating and I'm like, I need some food. And it's only been 2 hours since I last ate. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I know what it's like to be a slave to food because I'm experiencing that now. And I'm a little bit nervous going back to intermittent fasting and doing keto again, because I know there's gonna be a transition period where my body is not just gonna like feel great on day one. So it's been an interesting journey so far.
Well, I think what's so neat, what you're doing, and the reason behind why you're doing it, is to gain empathy for people going through the process, just starting out, right? You've said that you've been healthy pretty much all your life in general. And so now to have a really, really deep understanding of the struggle as people try to adopt a healthy lifestyle, and you're going to go through it with them as a community when you're getting back to your fit phase. So let's talk about what you're doing week 1, week 2, week 3, and you're experimenting with some different stuff, and then we'll go deeper into how you're feeling. Yeah, I can see you. I can see your, it's hard for you to breathe a little bit, right?
That's so interesting that you can observe that, because I'm noticing that, and I'm trying to not breathe too heavy on this interview, but it's for real. Like the shortness of breath is legit. So the first month I didn't really have a protocol. I just kind of, I can eat whatever I want to, standard American diet, mostly processed foods. But I did do a little bit of experimenting where I would go to Costco, Target, Walmart, Whole Foods to kind of show people like, hey, you can go to all these stores and obviously you can get a lot of junk food, even at Whole Foods. It was a very expensive junk food, but it was junk food that was organic. And so it doesn't matter if you shop there. I want to show people the unhealthy side. And then when I go back to fit, I'll show people, okay, if you are going to shop at Walmart, here's some good finds. Or if you're going to shop at Whole Foods, here's some good finds. Same thing with Costco. The next phase is phase 2, where I implement these diets. So we talked about dirty keto, dirty paleo, vegan, and vegetarian, to show people how not to do these diets, because we see this all the time where people just assume they're going to do veganism and automatically lose weight and get healthier. And that's not necessarily the case, because these diets have become so popularized and so mainstream that companies like to profit off that. So they make, these treats, these convenient products that people still gravitate towards, because they're like, man, I just want a cookie and you're keto. So it's like, all right, well, I can have a keto cookie, 2, 3, 4 of them, and be in ketosis still. I can still be in ketosis, but is that really healthy for you? And you can even gain weight on it. Now, here's the interesting thing. Do you want to talk about the keto phase really quick? Yeah. Because this is what was really interesting. I was struggling to eat 5,500 calories a day. I normally have been eating 6,600 calories a day since I started Fit to Fat to 40. Well, keto made it harder to eat more than 6,000 calories a day just because I felt so nauseous and so full eating all that fat and protein. So that was really interesting. But the surprising thing was I actually lost weight during keto, which was so crazy because I did not expect to. But now that I think about it, when you transition into ketosis, your body expels a lot of water weight and people lose a ton of water weight. I went from eating 1,000 grams of carbs per day to eating 50 grams of carbs per day. And it makes sense that I lost a lot of water weight, but weight loss does not equal fat loss. And that's why I got my body fat tested. My body fat went from 15.4% or 15.5% to 16.4%. So my body fat went up.
Yeah. And what did you start out as when you started the journey of fit?
8.4.
Okay.
So 8.4%, and then it went to 11.5, 13.7, something, 14.7, 15.5, 16.4. So my body fat went up, and my inches in my waist, I gained 1.5 inches in my belly. So what I want to show people is that people are going to be like, oh, Drew did dirty keto, but he still lost weight. Yeah, but weight loss is not the end all be all when it comes to success. And I did blood work, which I haven't got the results back yet. That'll come at the end of October, beginning of November, because I'm doing weekly blood tests throughout this phase to kind of show the difference in blood work, keto versus paleo versus vegan versus vegetarian. And my bet is eating a ton of low quality dairy, a ton of low quality meats, no fruits or vegetables at all. I don't think I had any vegetables this week. I had lots of diet soda, lots of sugar-free energy drinks, all kinds of keto cookies and keto desserts. But my guess is my blood work, some markers might have improved, but my guess is some might not. And so that's kind of what happened during dirty keto.
So you're doing ketosis not like you always do, but you typically tend to hover in ketosis. You're doing dirty ketosis, so let's go into a little more detail of that in a minute. This is what I was going to say. I did watch one of your YouTube videos. You were just talking about your doctor and your blood work. So something that's interesting that happened on your last journey I saw is you actually got fatty liver, right? So fatty liver, a lot of people think about as being caused by a lot of alcohol, and it's getting so common in our country. And a lot of these people that are getting it don't even drink, but it's coming from, it's the foods and the drinks, it's the soda, it's the breads, it's the Dr. Pepper, the Coca-Cola, the Gatorade. I see these kids, my kids' friends running around with Gatorade. So you actually got really sick. You got fatty liver from eating that way.
Yeah. So and back then, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, it'll be interesting to see, how your liver does on the dirty keto too. I'd be curious.
Yeah, we'll see. We're doing some testing on that. I don't think we're doing that every single week, but I do know he is going to do an ultrasound here in a little bit. And last time I didn't drink alcohol at all. I still developed a non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And this time around I am drinking alcohol. So it's like a double whammy. All the sugar that I'm eating, plus all, the alcohol, which is probably why my sleep has sucked so bad. Like my sleep has been awful since I started this journey. I track it on my Whoop app right here, which tracks my HRV. And so my recovery score has been in the red or yellow almost every single night. But I will say this about dirty keto, not having those big spikes in insulin and crashes throughout the day has improved my sleep. So the week of dirty keto, I had 4 nights in the green, which was not even close to what I had before that. So my sleep did improve. I've noticed since I started the journey eating processed carbohydrates, doing a dirty keto.
Okay. All right. So walk us through what's dirty keto for you. What are the sources of food that some people are getting pulled into that are doing this keto diet and food that's not so healthy?
Yeah. So for breakfast, I'll have some type of, super cheap bacon, some keto cereal, which exists keto cereal now. I'll have, that's okay. I'll have eggs with like a cup of cheese on my eggs, just a lot of cheese on that. And then, I'll snack on some keto bars or some keto cookies and lots of nuts. So almonds, cashews, like all the nuts that are low in carbs. I have my air quotes up there, of course. but those things tend to be overeaten on keto as well. And then for lunch, I'll have some type of like frozen keto pizza, like a whole large pizza, which is crazy. Lots more cheese on that. And then for dinner, something similar, some type of like fatty meat, maybe like burgers and cheese and avocados and eggs, and nothing I would say horrible. Just the quality of the food is a lot cheaper. Oh, and then my coffee, I have tons of sugar-free creamers and whipped cream and butter and coconut oil and heavy cream. So you put a cup of coffee with 500 calories of fat in it as well on top of my keto food that I'm eating, and it's just a copious amount of fat.
Yeah. So in normal life, when you're doing keto, the healthy way, you're more focused on high quality meats, grass fed, I'm assuming organic, whenever possible. If you're going to have dairy, it's going to be really, really high quality dairy. None of these keto carb mimicking things, the cereals, the bars, the cookies, and none of the diet products.
Yeah.
That's
it's like mostly whole foods. Mm-hmm. It's mostly whole foods. So any carbs that I get come from my vegetables that I eat. So Brussels sprouts, bacon. I wish that was a vegetable. Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower. I saute that in either grass-fed butter or ghee or olive oil sometimes, and lots of salt. And lots of avocados. But I still eat mostly whole foods and around 3,000 calories. I'm eating 5,500 calories of just I would say it's called dirty keto for a reason, just because people are eating low quality beef and chicken and eggs and lots of dairy, like tons of cheese on everything and lots of butter added to everything, thinking, I can eat all the fats I want as long as I cut out the carbs, I'm good,
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So there's your version of dirty eating keto. You talked about you're doing some of the other American healthy ways we eat, but you're doing them like healthy food gone bad. So what's the next one you're going to do?
So right now I'm currently doing paleo, which is actually kind of hard to do a dirty version of it, because paleo is more about it's a whole foods approach. So the foods that you're eating are whole foods. The dirty way of doing it is still not tracking calories and being able to eat as much calories as you want. And I'm doing it with a high carb approach. So I'm doing tons of fruits, tons of potatoes and sweet potatoes, tons of paleo bars, paleo granola, paleo treats, paleo cookies, paleo pancakes, paleo waffles. Like these things exist in the paleo world and they are overconsumed. Plus it's a very high carb approach to paleo with unlimited amounts of fruit, unlimited amounts of like juices, and you can have juice, you can have like kombucha and these things. But the hard part is it is whole foods. Like it's so even your paleo bars are high quality ingredients usually. There's not, you can't have high fructose corn syrup, you can't have like sucralose or aspartame. You can gain weight on even eating clean or healthy foods on paleo. That's kind of what I'm eating this week.
Yeah, so that one will be interesting. It'll be interesting at the end of the week to judge. Does this week feel different than dirty keto? Is it less?
Yeah, it's interesting. I felt the first day I did paleo, which I ate a ton of fruit, I had those blood sugar spikes and crashes again. And I felt so sleepy during the day. Like the second I had that meal at lunch, I was like, oh my gosh, I am falling asleep, like legit falling asleep at the wheel. And I was like, I gotta take a nap. But during keto, I didn't have any of that. I had a nice even insulin response throughout the day. Some things surprised me, like these keto breads and low carb tortillas. Those did spike my blood sugar levels slightly, not as much as a real bread would, but more than you would expect as a keto bread. But man, as soon as I, included the fruits again, I was like, I didn't take a nap, and I never take naps.
Yeah, that's crazy, especially going from keto where you don't need that. And that's, I think, as Americans, we've gotten so used to thinking that that's the normal way, but that's all insulin response.
Yeah.
All right. So what week is paleo experiment? So when people go on your YouTube channel, they can look it up.
Okay. So wait, sorry, say that again.
What week is paleo?
Okay, so that's October 5th through 11th.
Okay. And then which
So
one
that's
is,
this week.
and then which one is the next one you're doing?
Vegan. So October 12th through the 18th. And this is going to be interesting because Oreos for days. Oreos are vegan. There's
Oh
tons
my,
of vegan ice creams. There's tons of vegan cookies. There's vegan, like there's cereal. Lots of cereals are vegan. You just have to look for things that don't have animal products in them. So no honey, no dairy, no meat, of course. And so you just got to be careful of the ingredients. But there's a lot of junk food. There's a lot of Halloween candy that's vegan. And
yeah.
so people are like, oh, well, I can be vegan. And they eat these breads, pastas, rices, grains, cereals, cookies, ice creams. You can drink soda. Soda is vegan. Yeah, I think it is. I'm pretty sure there's no animal products in soda, but but
Yeah.
anyways, and then all these impossible burgers, impossible, all kinds of like vegan bacon, vegan eggs, vegan cheese, vegan steak. Like there's a vegan substitute for every meat out there, and people gravitate towards that. If you look at the list of ingredients, it's pretty scary what's in there. So I'm a little bit scared about next week. To be honest with you, I don't know how I'm going to feel. Plus, I don't know how I'm going to get. I mean, I'm going to eat protein from these processed, burgers and things like that. But I don't know. Like I'm getting a ton of protein on paleo, a ton of protein on keto. I think my protein will drop significantly less next week.
Yeah, that'll be interesting for sure because it's so different than what you do. It seems like the overarching thing is we can't cut corners. And just because something fits under the qualifications of, I know, freezing a little bit, of keto or vegetarian or vegan doesn't specifically mean that it's going to be healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so then
that's what I want to show people. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and then on the journey back to fit, I'll revisit these diets and educate people how to do them the right way. So I want to make sure people understand that. I'm not bashing these diets. Yeah. I do think there's a right way, a healthier way to do them. Like if you're going to be vegan, if you're going to be vegetarian, here's the best approach to do it. Follow Drew. He's going to show you how to do like the healthy way. Don't do what he's doing now kind of thing. That's my approach.
Absolutely. That's so cool because you can absolutely do them in a healthy way. I love that.
Yeah.
So talk about what you're doing after as far as the community and people being able to join you. I think that's really neat.
Yeah, so this is like kind of the most important part of my journey is people love seeing the entertaining factor of me gaining weight. Like, let's be honest, people think it's fun, it's funny. But come January, we all know everyone's going to want to start off the new year on the right foot. Like I know so many people just want to be done with 2020 and they want 2021 to be like, all right, we're starting clean. Let's change our ways. Let's make some changes. And I know everyone's going to want to do that. So my approach is like, hey, let's do this together. I have, 60, I don't know how many pounds I'm going to gain, 60 pounds to lose. Let's get started together at the same time. I'll hold your hand every step of the way. You can see my meal plans, my recipes, my workouts, my grocery list. It's all available for free at my website. People can follow along and they'll be part of a community where we go on this journey together, but also they'll learn the tips and tricks on the mental and emotional side, which is stuff I learned from Fit to Fat to Fit when I did it back in 2011. Those are the kinds of things that I plan on teaching people this time around so that this time it's not just about weight loss. It's not just about getting skinny. It's not about getting the body of your dreams, thinking that's what's going to save you. That's what's going to make you happy. It's about shifting your perception of what success looks like in the health and fitness industry because people think it's all about the results. And if it was about the results, then every single person that has 10% body fat would be happy in life. They would be happy with who they are. They would love their body. But I promise you, I know a lot of self-conscious people that have 5% body fat that still don't think they're good enough, still don't think they're pretty enough, that still hate themselves. And so it's not enough just to get the results. My hope is to get people to focus on loving the process because they are worthy of living a healthy lifestyle. And if I could get people to shift that perception in their head and realize it's about falling in love with the process because they are worth it, then they're operating out of a place of self-love versus self-hate. And then they're more fulfilled no matter if the results come. Because what happens is people, they are so focused on the results that they are willing to put up with the process of eating healthy and exercising as long as they get the results. And if they don't get the results in a certain period of time, they're like, well, why am I doing this? This is a waste of time because I'm putting all this effort and there's no results. So why even live a healthy lifestyle, right? And that's kind of the approach, the shift in perception that needs to happen so that people realize, look, I am worth it to live a healthy lifestyle because it feels good. because it feels better to eat mostly real food and move my body in a way that feels good to me, that makes me stronger and makes me feel strong. Like that is self-love and kindness to your body versus, abusing it with all kinds of stimulants and crappy food that doesn't make you feel good, right? Let's be honest, it doesn't. And yeah, it's hard to work out. Yeah, it's hard to eat healthy, but this time you're doing it because you love yourself, because you're worth it.
I love it. That's so good. So good. You're going to have an amazing community of people following you. So what's the best way for people to do that? Which platform should they follow you on?
Yeah, so go to fit2fat240.com. So fit number 2, fat number 2, 40 or FORTY. Type it in. It'll take you to the website. You can sign up for free. You enter in your email address. But if you want to follow me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok right now. So anyone that you enjoy, it'll be entertaining no matter which one you follow me on.
Awesome. All right. Well, so excited to follow you too. And thank you so much, Drew, for your time. I'm sure we'll talk to you again.
Thanks, Dr. Melissa. See ya.